Hello friends and welcome to Mission Viewfinder. Today we're going to be talking about kids in the mission field, thanks to one of our fans who commented, one of you guys, and asked us that question. And then also we are thinking about adding something, doing something a little bit different on our channel, and so at the end we have a question for you that will help us in that. Let's get into it. Before we talk about kids, I want to just share a really quick story with you of God's protection. If you've been watching our channel for the last couple months, you'll know that we were just on a road trip looking for property for Josh and his family and filming and all sorts of stuff. And towards the end, I noticed there was sort of a unevenness in the ride in the truck and everything, and I wasn't sure what it was. So after we got home, took it to the mechanic. Thought maybe there was, a bearing going out or something like that. And turns out the tire has, like, right down the middle of the tire, like 8 to 10 inches, there's this big bulge in the tire. In that moment, I was just like, thank you, Lord, for keeping us safe, because we drove quite a distance on that tire, and He preserved us. So we're very thankful for God's protection. Gotta say, it's pretty cool to be picking fruit from our trees. So a while back, one of our friends here on YouTube, goes by GM, asked if we were going to have kids. When someone asks if we are going to have kids, my first lighthearted thought is, we have kids. We have lots of babies in our garden. I know, that's not what you're meaning at all. As far as kids in the mission field, there's pros and cons. When you have kids, it's a great responsibility before God to raise those kids to follow and serve Him as best you can. That's a big responsibility, and that's a mission field in and of itself. So having kids in the mission field, you have to keep that priority set, and so as a result of that, because kids are of necessity a priority, then you're limited in other things. So for instance, we travel a lot. We go all over the place, and we would not be able to do that if we had kids. So having kids can really limit what you're able to do in some ways. But
there still are some advantages to having kids here in the mission field. For one, I believe that a home where there's parents and children who love each other and there's peace and there's harmony in the home, that is one of the most powerful sermons that can be lived out, really regardless of where you live, but especially in a context like this where Christ is not known to most people. And to see a home where there's peace and there's love and there's just that unity and Christ's presence, it can have a huge impact on people. Probably the next most major thing that comes to my mind and that I've seen a little bit and heard more about is the fact that kids are like such an icebreaker here and such an entry wedge, because if you want to get to know your neighbors, you go walking with your kids and people are going to be like coming out at their gates and saying, oh, white kids or foreigner kids or, kids. Like, they just love kids here, and so it totally changes the dynamics. If Jonathan and I just go for a walk, most people are like, hi, bye, whatever. But if we had kids with us, they'd be like coming out to their gate. So it's something that can really be advantageous for getting to know people. Like, I feel like it really breaks down the barriers and speeds up getting to know different people and being able to identify with them also, because a lot of people here, they have kids too, and if they see, oh, you have kids like I do, they're going to be more open. And that really is just another point there, is they're going to be more open to maybe advice that you might have to share about how to raise kids and about how to care for a family in a Christian way. They're going to be more open to that probably if you have kids yourself. So yeah, there's a couple advantages. there's probably more, but I think needless to say, there are definitely pros, there are definitely cons, and really the issue is whatever God leads you to. Maybe you have kids already. If you do, there's no going back. But if you don't have kids yet, it can be just a matter of letting God let you, it can be a matter of just letting God lead and open and close doors as He sees best.
So, to answer GM's question without beating around the bush, we are confident that God has called us to do the work that we're doing right now, that that's His plan for us right now, and that also doesn't really facilitate or logistically be possible to have kids. So that's where we're at right now, and in the future, only God knows. So it's hard to believe that Mission Viewfinder has been going for almost 2 full years. That's just hard to believe. But anyway, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we have a question for you. But first, I want to talk about what has inspired us to be missionaries. Now, if you listen to our testimony videos, you'll know that we both listened to or read a lot of mission stories when we were younger, and that was a very big inspiration for us in wanting to be overseas.
Truth is, for me, I was actually quite a little bookworm when I was a kid, and I read tons of mission stories and books that were hugely impactful in my life too. But besides that, I think the second most impactful thing for me to want to come to the mission field was just getting to hear missionaries, current missionaries, or maybe even missionaries who were no longer in the field, but come and share like in our church. To hear them share in person, to hear them tell the stories and everything, it was so inspiring. And it really just, I think over time, it was a matter of just planting those seeds and putting in my heart a desire and an openness that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. But that being said, I think at the foundation of all of this was really just learning to have a relationship with God and learning to follow Him in my life as I was younger. That really was so foundational to it all, because if it wasn't for learning to follow Him and allow Him to use me and lead me in my life, I wouldn't be here today.
So the question that we have for you is, what has inspired you to be interested in missions, or to be a missionary overseas, or to be a supporter or pray for it? Whatever it is, we want to know, what is it that's inspired you or been an inspiration to you in that direction. Let us know in the comments. We really, really want to know what your experience is and what's been an inspiration to you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. God bless.